And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, live via ABC Radio Satellite Services. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. A special shout out to Car Clinic affiliate WRSC 1390 AM and 93.3 FM in State College, Pennsylvania. Chris Forshey, Program Director at WRSC. We're really proud to be on your air, and thank you, WRSC, for your continued partnership with Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We appreciate you. And most importantly, State College, Pennsylvania, I want to hear from you this morning. Call now, 888-227-2546. That's 888 Car Clinic. Okay, folks, you ready? Or you stir crazy? Not me. Not me. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When your battery goes dead, everything could come to a stop. Well, that's not rocket science, but I'll tell you, don't take a chance on getting stranded. O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free, and if it does need to be replaced, they can help you find the exact battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. Make sure your vehicle is prepared for the weather ahead. Get your battery tested for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. 888-227-2546. You don't have to have a brain car question, any question about your automobile, I'll be glad to help you with, because that's my job. Just consider me your personal car consultant when I come back. A 2013 Honda Accord came in the shop running rough, stalling, and a check engine light. The vehicle had originally been repaired by another shop. After a thorough diagnosis, we found the vehicle was generating a bad signal from the crankshaft position sensor. This seemed odd as it had just recently been replaced, but the scope doesn't lie. A bad waveform signal needs to be fixed. Our solution? A new crankshaft position sensor from Motorrad. A longtime leader for vehicle thermostats and caps, Motorrad now offers engine management products that are engineered to meet and or exceed OEM specifications. They're designed to perform under severe operating conditions and are resistant to extreme heat. We made the change, and that fixed the car. Motorrad engine management products are manufactured in Tier 1 OEM facilities with top quality qualifications. They undergo comprehensive 100% in-line and end-of-line testing to ensure uncompromising quality. Learn more about Motorrad engine management products and other Motorrad solutions at Motorrad.com. Folks, this week we had a 2014 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 with 127,000 miles coming to shop with AC problems. Hot weather's just around the corner, and this owner wanted to make sure his truck was road ready. Tommy, our ASE certified technician, tested the system, so all seemed okay. Then after a few minutes, the high side pressure ran through the roof. Seems the condenser fins had corroded and weren't cooling the refrigerant. We called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional and ordered a new condenser and filter dryer. Easy fix? Not really. Tommy had to remove the auxiliary battery, windshield washer reservoir, fender liner, and the entire front grille just to get access to the parts. When repairs require extensive labor time, it's essential the parts we install work first time every time. This is the job we don't want to do twice. That's why we depend on O'Reilly Auto Parts team and the quality of parts they provide. This Car Repair Spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grown. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this show started. As I said at the open of the program, a special good morning. I hope that you're doing well. I know that so many of us across the country, yours truly included, are sort of, when we don't hang out, we go to work and then we go home. And it's really kind of odd for me because having been in my own business for, 48 years, as it were, on the service side, and 28 years here in the production, I probably eat out historically 75 to 80% of the time, and always for lunch. I mean, I just don't go home for lunch, and I'm not much of a breakfast eater, but I will tell you, it's the schedule has changed, and in those changes of schedule, what I noticed was tire pressure Now you say, well, how do you skip from shift from to lunch to tire pressure? My cars are not getting the exercise that they normally would, because I historically would drive from the studio downtown and have lunch, or to some other location and have lunch. So my vehicle is not getting the activity, and to that end, yesterday afternoon, this past week, I put a new set of tires on my car. I did break away from the Dunlops, by the way, for those of you who have heard me, talk about my experience with the Dunlop tire that I felt was the quietest tire, because this car is so quiet. And I had the factory set, and then I bought a set at $25,000, then I bought another set at $50,000, and now at $71,000 I replaced that other set. But the bottom line is, I went with a Continental Extreme Contact Sport. And I did a lot of homework actually using Tire Rack. Tire Rack is a great resource, and I bought the tires through a local company here, Discount Tire actually, but I did all of my homework on Tire Rack, and the reason is that of all of the tires that I looked, and there were, I think 4 or 5 different brands that fit the criteria of this staggered size on my car. And these tires are directional. I was looking for the quietest tire. I wasn't looking for the tire that lasts the longest. I don't care. I really don't. I don't drive but 10,000 miles a year. So I wasn't interested in longevity of the tire. I was interested in smooth ride, comfort, and quietness. And I looked at the tread, and if you'll think about it, think about a big knobby tire on a 4x4. And a big knobby tire kind of speaks for itself, how the tread looks, because it has those big knobs, big blocks of rubber that dig into the mud and off-road. And but going down the road, you can hear, a 4x4 coming down the road. You can hear it go by. And so I wanted the opposite, of course. And so the treads on these tires, the 3 center treads, are almost, they're maybe an inch wide, or even wider at some points. And the center tread has no siping at all, which means no cutaway. So it's a solid, slick tire. And then the 2 adjacent, which is you have the center tread, and then one toward the outside and another one toward the inside. And there's extra treads on the 2 very outside of the tires. But the tread pattern on that Continental tire was as smooth as any that I've ever seen, smoother. But the score on Tire Rack, and I'll give you an example. The tires that I had been so I liked, although they flat spotted, so I made up my mind that I was finished with that, and I was going to go to another brand, and I did. And these tires have 3 treads of almost no siping and no blocks at all. And you say, well, gosh, would they work well in the rain? And I don't really think that they would work well in the rain. They're not aqua tires. But again, I'm a careful driver in the rain, just because I've had a couple of accidents in the rain, both my fault for over driving the situation. One was in a Viper that I owned, that you're not supposed to drive a Viper in the rain anyway, but I didn't learn that until after I backed it into a curb like at 20 miles an hour and ruined a $1,500 wheel, but that's another story. Anyway, so I did get these tires, and lo and behold, late yesterday afternoon, the right rear tire warning light was on, and so last night I blew the tire up. And ironically, I had a battery jump box with an air compressor built in, and it went bad. But it was old. It was 10, 12 years old. And so I went online and ordered another pump. And so I would share with you, and yesterday I borrowed a pump from my next door neighbor, which I've still got in the back of the car, and I brought the car in this morning. We're going to fix the tire. But I said all that to say that when your car is not driven, you'll have tire issues, but you'll also have battery issues, because there is a parasitic draw on all batteries that every car has, and it's normal. Now, the level of parasitic draw is where the car has the forgiveness or not. A normal car today, and normal, if you can define normal, has I think about maybe less than 3/10 of an amp or something draw. So just know that your car will lose 25% of its charge every month sitting in the garage. So that's all the more reason you should use, a battery charger. And like I have, also another car that I have is the Porsche Classic car, and I use the Optima, which is a partner of ours, and the Digital 400 Optima is the best, easiest to use, and there's a good word, easy. It's easy to use because you literally just hook it up to the battery, and it determines the condition of the battery. And what I really like about the Digital 400 Optima charger, and it's a maintainer as well, so there's a difference now. There's a difference. You can't charge a battery 24/7. You can leave this device on 24/7, 365, but you can't charge a battery all that time because you will destroy the battery. You can't keep a battery fully charged 100% of the time for a lot of reasons. Having said that, the Digital 400 measures the condition of the battery. In fact, when you hook it up to a not so charged battery, not necessarily a dead battery, but a weak battery, you can actually look at the condition of the battery, and then you can compare that as the battery is charged so that you know what condition that battery is in. And just understand this, a battery doesn't go from weak or dead to instant back to life. I've always used the comparison of antibiotics. You get a doctor's prescription. You take one of these a day for 10 days. And a lot of times, many of them, I know that you've done this, we've all done this, after about the third or fourth day, you start to feel better and you don't take the rest of it because, why not? Well, you should not do that. You should run the whole gamut because if you don't, then there's ramifications and side effects. The same thing is true for a charge of your battery. If you charge the battery, or if you jump start a battery, which is one of the worst things you can do, really, if you jump start your car's battery, and let's say it's down, you left the lights on, you come out from a restaurant, and lo and behold, the battery's dead, and then some good Samaritan comes along and jumps your battery, and you say, oh, thank you, and then you drive it home, and you get home and you crank it back up. Oh, it's all fine. It's not all fine. Literally, it takes about 4 hours at 15 amps to replace the stamina in the battery. And therein lies, just like the antibiotics, therein lies the difference between a charged battery and that has its stamina replenished or just a jump start and you think it's okay. It's not okay. And it just takes a while. I compare this to, think of a sponge. And you put a sponge, let's say a sponge the size of a grapefruit, and you put it on a table, and you put with an eyedropper 1 drop of water, every 5 seconds. I mean, you say, well, gosh, it'd take forever to fill that sponge, and it would. But if you drop it and drop at a time, and then ultimately at one point in time, when the sponge has been thoroughly soaked, the next drop that you put on the sponge will run off the bottom and onto the table because the sponge can only hold so much. So I use that comparison because just for you to know, you could charge a battery 30 minutes at 30 amps and that battery will not have its stamina back. Batteries have to be happy. They have to be fully charged, and the specific gravity has to have a specific reading before that battery is considered fully charged. And that's what you need to pay attention to. Hey, when I come back from this break, I'll take your questions. 888-227-2546. Really interesting what you should do to keep your car healthy. Coolant leaks are never fun, but they can be especially challenging if you're far from home and repair shops are closed, like many are right now. It pays to be prepared. Keep an emergency road kit in your vehicle, and inside should be a number of items including K-Seal. K-Seal is a pour-in solution that helps stop cooling system leaks. It features ceramic technology designed to repair the leak without clogging. K-Seal is available nationwide at parts stores like AutoZone. Check AutoZone.com for store hours and shipping options. As we kick off National Car Care Month in the midst of COVID-19, making sure your vehicle is road ready has never been more important. The Car Care Council remind you it's the perfect time for a thorough check of various vehicle maintenance items like brakes, batteries, tires, cooling system, filters, headlights, and the exhaust system. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe and dependable. It's National Car Care Month. Are you car care aware? Learn more at carcare.org. That's carcare.org. Our inbox has been especially full these past few weeks as people are looking for advice regarding keeping their vehicles road ready. Jim from Dallas wrote, "What can I do to make sure my vehicles are prepared and ready to go?" Jim, the economic impact of the current health crisis has touched every hardworking American. Making your dollar stretch further is more important than ever before. Commuting to grocery stores and other essential outlets has changed the way most Americans drive. Shorter trips and lower operating temperatures can increase the probability of carbon buildup in your vehicle's engine combustion chamber. Look to Berryman products to help maintain optimum performance and MPG. Berryman's intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner is a simple-to-use kit that can truly add fuel economy, better performance, and longevity to your vehicle's engine. Regular use of Berryman B12 fuel system cleaner can assist you in maintaining a clean and healthy fuel injection system. Check out Berryman products' complete line of maintenance and cleaning products designed for do-it-yourselfer and professional technicians alike at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hung. Guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back, folks. Hope you're having a good day today. And it's a beautiful weather here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Our studios, the center of the automotive universe, are located in Pensacola, Florida. And acoustic system actually manufactured the studio to our specifications. And our specifications were really the shape of the studio was designed so that it would fit in a space that we have inside the 15,000 square foot automotive service shop. So some 50 or 60 hours a week for the past 48 years, I come to you from inside an automotive service shop, but I'm inside an all-digital studio that is really cool. The floor weighs about 10,000 pounds and is off-grade. It's the place to be in case we get a hurricane. And Ivan, in 2004, devastated our community. And so when you look at, in fact, you talk of devastation, and I'm reminded of the COVID, which is just, we all are, I had a dinner party last night celebrating an event that happened in my life, and the conversation toward the end of the dinner party turned toward, are we doing the right thing? Are we staying at home, and how long will this go on? And what's the price and the billions of dollars that we're the government sending out? So there's a lot of pros and cons, and I won't get into that, but I will tell you that what I've seen with my own eyes, with my friends and associates and even people I don't know, I've seen just a coming together, the likes of which I've never seen before. And in fact, I want to take this opportunity to share with you a message from one of our partners, and you know who that partner is, O'Reilly Auto Parts. And so, John, let's just air right now the message from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, take a listen.
As we navigate the COVID-19 crisis, O'Reilly Auto Parts is dedicated to serving you. We've been deemed an essential business, so our doors will stay open. We encourage you to buy online, then pick up curbside. Together, we're committed to getting through this.
And so I really appreciate O'Reilly Auto Parts message. They sent that to us, and make no mistake about it, when we buy parts and order parts, they're delivered to our door. And the young driver that starts a young lady, because most of the time it is, the driver that delivers the parts wears a mask, and we have hand sanitizer. So we practice all of the things that I think will prove that we're doing our part, and I know that many of you are. I'm just ready to get on the other side. Now, I know that everyone else is. Let's take a call from a great friend of Car Clinics and mine as well, Captain Jim from Las Vegas, Nevada. Captain Jim, good morning and welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Bobby. It's good to hear from you again and talk to you. The question I had for you this morning was, what is your take on businesses like Car Shield that offer aftermarket or warranties for cars? Do you think it's worth it?
Well, I can talk out of both sides of my mouth. My short answer is keep your money, take that money and set it aside in the bank. Use it for those emergency breakdowns that happen, but those emergency breakdowns can be reduced significantly by performing the maintenance as outlined and prescribed by the manufacturer who made that car. Now, we all don't like surprises, and I'm especially one that really is way against surprise. A surprise to me would be at the end of the day, there's been a problem in the service shop or a problem in the radio studio, and I didn't know about it until 5 minutes before airtime. And then I said, look, well, why didn't you tell me? Well, for some reason, one of the employees didn't tell me or didn't share. So I don't like surprises. And so to that end, I think that the amount of dollars that is typical of today's aftermarket, and they're not warranty, they're an after a warranty agreement. And so it's a contract, and those contracts have small print. So I said all that to say that for someone like yourself, I know that you own a motorhome, and folks, this gentleman was the captain for John Wayne for years. So you understand the significance and the importance of maintenance to the nth degree. So for you, I would say to take that $2,000 to $5,000, whatever it costs, depending on the machine, and put that in a bank and set that aside. Now, you could still have it in the bank with other monies, but in your mind, set aside that $3,500 to $4,000 the first year, because you ain't going to need it the first year, and then the second year, and then that by the third year, that $3,500 to $4,000 now it could be close to $4,500, and so you would have that money. But you would still have to spend the money on maintenance, because even to keep your manufacturer's warranty valid and to follow the guidelines, and also to keep the aftermarket contract agreement valid and in force, there are requirements that require you to service the vehicle. So you're required to service the vehicle anyway. And to me, I think a lot of people buy aftermarket warranties, Captain Jim, as a peace of mind. And so to that end, if your pocketbook says, I want a peace of mind, I don't care about the $3,000 or $4,000, not that you don't care about it, but you know what I'm saying, the peace of mind is worth that, then I would endorse it. But you have to do your homework. There are companies like Route 66 that we have used, and I say we, that I want to shift gears now, talk out of the other side of my mouth, as a shop owner. Dealing with aftermarket extended service contract companies can be exacerbating. It can be really frustrating because you've got, and I don't mean to stereotype here, but it's the truth. You got some guy sitting at a desk in Chicago telling you how much he's going to pay you to fix a car that he's never seen before based on the cheapest price he can get it fixed for. And that price might be in Kearney, Nebraska, where the cost of living is less than in Manhattan or in L.A. But if you have a shop in L.A. and you've got a car and you live in L.A., then you're going to get your company's going to be paying what Kearney, Nebraska or Pensacola, Florida rates would cover, and therein lies the gap. And so that's my biggest gripe, or my biggest concern about aftermarket contracts is the gap. And that means that if your car needs a transmission, that transmission, like a Tundra, is $6,000, and they only pay $3,800, who's going to pay the difference? What usually happens, Captain Jim, historically, and this is why I've never wanted to be in the automotive collision business, what usually happens is the shop that's performing the work lays down, which means that the shop takes whatever profit there is in the job and buys the cheapest part available and does the least amount to get that car back running, because that's really all that shop is being paid for, because the dictation of that insurance company. And so I have an issue with there. Now there's another company besides Route 66. Geico has, as I understand, and neither of these companies are sponsors. They're just companies that I know, and we've used. We've had customers that used them, so we know the good, the bad, and the ugly. Geico has a great program that doesn't argue, and there was another one, and I forget the name of it, but it was Progressive. Progressive has a deal with Ford Motor Company because all of Progressive drivers drive Fords. So as a result, when Progressive brings their cars to independent service shops and buys a water pump, the cost of the water pump to Progressive is less than the cost of the water pump to the dealership. That's what kind of deal. Now, this may not be true today, but I'm saying historically I've had this happen before, where we would call the dealer and say, wait a minute, this is a new water pump and it's covered by the Progressive insurance, but you're selling me the water pump for $150 and it lists for $175 or $200, and Progressive's going to pay me $112. What's up with that? And so I have an issue with insurance companies. I had a dishwasher that leaked this week on my floor, and I called my State Farm, and lo and behold, I've got a $4,000 deductible on a water pipe that burst. Really? A $4,000 deductible, and so I not that it really mattered. I fixed it myself. I didn't want to, but I did, because we had a dinner party last night, and Diane said, would you please get this fixed? This was on Monday. And so I diagnosed it. I never even took the unit out. I diagnosed it based on my mechanical knowledge and fixed it for $37. But I did the work myself. But I will just share this with you. I was glad to be able to do that. But with regard to your specific question, the answer is it depends. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on the company that you're dealing with. And I'm just not familiar with a lot of companies. I will say this: there have been numerous aftermarket extended warranty companies that took everybody's money and then after 5 or 6 years went out of business. And where'd all the money go? Because they didn't cover all those people that needed them when the time came. But I think we have better control now. We certainly have better records keeping with the internet being what it is. Anyway, what's your opinion?
Right. Well, I live in Las Vegas, and it's a town that you gamble. and that's the reason I've never bought one. I'm with you. I would rather just hold the money back, or it's just money that's going to be spent eventually, or maybe not.
Maybe not.
There you go.
Yeah. So we share the same philosophy there, and So we really do. I think that's enough conversation on that subject. But thank you for calling, and that's a great question as well, because there's so many companies. Not that I'm condemning all aftermarket warranty companies, but I'm just saying everyone, just like when you're going to buy a car, you do your homework. Captain Jim, thank you so much, and best of health. Stay well. I'll tell you a story about Captain Jim and John Wayne when I come back from the break. It's really cool. It's up in Alaska. With 48 years experience in automotive repair, our service team knows what dirty gasoline does inside an engine. Over time and miles, fuel residue and hot oil vapors create nasty, hardened clusters of carbon that block airflow into cylinders, collect on valves, and build up inside combustion chambers, causing hard starting, rough idle, sluggish engine performance, and bad gas mileage. Solution? Berryman B60 High Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator. B60 cleans the entire fuel system of all high-mileage gas-powered vehicles with powerful detergents and HEST solvents. That's high-energy solvent technology at work. B60 gives you one-tank cleanup of fuel injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. Restore lost power, reduce rough idle, improve fuel economy, and enjoy your drive again. Berryman B60 High-Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator is the only fuel system cleaner with HEST solvents. Pick up a can at your local auto parts store today. For more, visit BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment, folks. Thanks for tuning in every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time. We come to you from the center of the automotive universe, and Car Clinic Network is a network that we created some 28 years ago and still growing strong. I've answered more than 100,000 car questions on air and helped a lot of folks save money and keep their car in their garage and out of the service garage. Not that you should not take your car into a service shop. If you're not visiting a service shop, even with a new car, twice a year, you're underserving your car and you're driving the new off your car without putting new back on. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's just like a bottle of aspirin. If you take an aspirin a day and you bought a 50 count bottle, you're going to have aspirin for 50 days. Well, when 51 comes up, you got an issue there, unless you go buy another bottle. The same thing is true for your car. You buy a new car and you drive it X thousands of miles, 100,000 miles. You best put you best put at least 15,000 miles of new parts back on it. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's make it really simple. It means new tires, obviously, because you got to put tires. It means new brakes, but that's also a kind of a rub with me, because nobody calls me and says, it's time for new brakes on my car. What? Really? How did you know? Well, because they've been metal to metal, screeching. So folks, don't let that happen to you. Twice a year, take your car in and have a digital inspection performed. And while you're at this digital inspection, have the oil and filter changed. It's not the other way around. You do not take your car in for an oil and filter change and have them check under the hood while you're there. That you got it backwards. In fact, our industry has it backwards. I've had heartburn with that for my 48 years. The first 36 years of my 48 years in automotive service, we never offered oil and filter changes. Now you think about that. Well, what do you mean you didn't offer it? You didn't do them? Sure we did. Most of our oil and filter changes were associated with overheated engines or new engine work or what have you. See, when an engine overheats, if you just change your oil and filter and you drive it, say, 1,000 miles, 100 miles, and all of a sudden the thermostat locks up or a hose burst or a water pump and you run your engine hot, if you take it into a shop and they put, a new water pump and the coolant and it's all just real great, right? Wrong. The oil should be changed, because oil is damaged by overheating because it oxidizes the oil. When it does, because oil is oxidized, then it has a shorter life, and some of the additives are damaged, not the oil, the additive packages. And that's the difference between a healthy engine and an unhealthy engine, is the amount of dirt in the oil and debris in the oil and the additive package, the health of the additive package. So all of those things are kind of like, well, hey, that's a no-brainer. Well, it's a BGO, blinding glimpse of the obvious. But I got news for you. There's so many car owners that don't get it. And when their car takes them into a service shop, not the other way around. What do you mean, Bobby? Well, you go on a trailer or a hook, flatbed, so don't let that happen to you. Okay, I want to share the story that I said I promised I would about Captain Jim. So Captain Jim was the pilot, the captain. I don't know if you call him a pilot or not, but he'll correct me if I'm wrong, for John Wayne. So he was up in Alaska, and he was driving this, and as I remember, 134-foot, it was a military boat that had been converted to a yacht by John Wayne. And so he went into this bay, let's call it, in Alaska. And so Captain Jim was circling around the entire bay. I guess he made a couple of laps there around the circumference of the bay. And of course he tells it better. The captain does. I should have asked him to tell it. And so John Wayne comes in his, you can see John Wayne now kind of, sauntering up the steps to the tower there, to the what do they call the control room of a captain of a ship? I should have had him tell this. The wheelhouse. Is that what? The bridge. Okay, yeah. Thank you, John. The bridge. So here comes John Wayne up to the bridge, and he looked at Captain Jim, and he says, what are you doing here? You circling the wagons, Captain Jim? From the movies. And I just thought that was really so interesting. And his John Wayne's, his persona was the way he really was. And I have to tell this too. I'm not sure I should tell this, but since John Wayne's no longer with us, so they were shooting a film on John Wayne on his boat. Some camera crew was there, and Captain Jim was off the camera, of course, looking. And so as they were shooting, the wind was blowing because they were out on the water, and John Wayne's toupee was flopping in the breeze. And Captain Jim was patting himself on the head like that. And that upset John Wayne because the cameraman didn't stop him and tell him, "Hey, man, you got to fix your toupee." I don't know if I should have told that one or not. I mean, I think that every story has a good ending to it. I want to share this with you about my story about my classic car. I still own this vehicle. I intend to put it on the market. I spent about $6,000, and it didn't need $6,000, but I found a way to spend $6,000 to get it ready to sell. And I went through this 1980 model car. It has 99,150 miles on it. And I went through it from stem to stern, trying to find things wrong with it so that when I sold it, I could get a premium price. And I'm going to sell it on Bring a Trailer, which I think I'm going to offer it. That's a 7-day exposed auction, and it's called bringatrailer.com. And it's really entertaining just to go watch and see what some of those cars bring. The bottom line is Grundy Insurance Company, one of our partners, has what we call a motor vehicle program, MVP, that makes it possible for you to combine all your vehicles on one policy and insure them all at their agreed value. And therein lies and separates the difference between companies that offer insurance for classic cars, such as my 1980 911 Weissach, that from separates them from other companies. And so when you think about insurance for your car, think about Grundy. And if you're not sure whether your car is a classic or not, at Grundy's site, it's Grundy.com, Grundy, Grundy.com. You can get a lot of information there, and you can determine on their site if your car qualifies for a classic car. And let's say that it does. Let's say whatever is 25 years old or whatever that. And I don't know, I won't quote Grundy's criteria because that's for you to go look and see yourself and to get it straight from the horse's mouth. But I will say this. What I think my car is worth and what it may bring in money are certainly not one and the same thing, because we all think what we own is worth more than it may or may not be. Who knows? But I do know this. I design or I desire a certain value for my 911 Porsche that's as new. The car's gorgeous. And then I call Grundy, and which is what you can do. And I say, here's what I want my car insured for. I want my car insured for $75,000. Well, wow, is your 80 model 911 worth $75,000? So Grundy then asks for additional information, of which I can share. And if Grundy agrees and you agree, that price is set and it will not be changed. And what's even better, if, like I did this year, I spent about $2,000 on the air conditioner system. I didn't just replace the evaporator core in this 911 Porsche. I upgraded it to an aluminum core that's all state-of-the-art. It's about 35% more efficient and cools the car. And let's face it, a German Porsche in 1980 didn't have an air conditioner anyway. It was always installed after the fact. So the car, in Germany, they don't need the air conditioner. So my car actually cools 32 degrees. I have video of that. I'm really proud of that. So my agreed value with Grundy is what yours will be, and it won't change, but you can review it every year. And if you spent $2,000 on your car and you want to bump the price of $2,000, then and it's duly agreed, then so be it. So it's a really great, I think, opportunity for those of you who have classic cars or may not know that your car qualifies as classic, to reach out to Grundy.com and learn what you need to know about the coverage of your automobile. Okay, 888 Car Clinic, that's the number for you to call, 888-227-2546. So this is a funny story. The lady called me about a month ago here on the air. She has a dinging noise in her vehicle. And let's see if this is the right email. I've got a couple of emails here. Let's see. Well, gosh, I put that somewhere. Okay. So I'll share that with you in the next hour because I've got it in my other stack over there. But here's another Car Clinic mail bag And this is from Tom in Lafayette, Louisiana, who listens to the program on Saturday on our affiliate KPEL, which airs this program right now at 1 p.m. today. So, it's 9:52 right now Central Time, and this the show will be aired at 1:15. So Tom writes, Bobby, I love your show. It's the highlight of my Saturday p.m. It's cheaper than working on the classic cars, but we can still talk about them. The caller you had recently with a newly acquired 66 GTO perked up my Pontiac-loving ears. Thank you, Tom. 389s and two-barrel carburetors and manual transmissions were designed for regular fuel. That's what we were talking about with the listener folks, was premium fuel versus regular fuel and old cars versus new cars. And so Tom writes on 8.5 to 1 compression ratio, as I recall. The GTO had 10.75 or 10 3/4 to 1 compression ratio. The heads were not designed for lead-free gasoline. The valves can be modified using Stellite valve seats so that you can use unleaded fuel. Remember now, this is a 66 GTO. The valves can be modified. Tom said, I just used an additive, which you can do. I think it was 1971 engines that were designed for low lead. By 1972, unleaded was fine. In 1967, the new 400 GTO engines offered an economy engine, lower compression, with a two-barrel carburetor. This was mostly to satisfy insurance companies. There were still hot 400s running higher octane gasoline. The minuscule savings of using the wrong fuel on a car driven 200 miles a month seems silly, especially when it may damage your expensive engine. Stay well and on the radio, Tom. So, Tom, I want to say this to you. Your part about the valve seats was right on. The industry moved towards Stellite, which, folks, is a cobalt chromium alloy material. Valve seats to protect the lack of lubrication previously provided by the lead in gasoline. Lead's a poison and had a history of injuring humans like you wouldn't believe. Specifically, and folks get this, almost 80% of all employees who worked at the GM plants that made tetraethyl lead additive used as an anti-knock fuel additive suffered from seizures, brain damage, and other lead poisoning inside the plant. You can Google tetraethyl lead poisoning GM and see for yourself. So that's really interesting. And so we talk about unleaded fuel, and we talk about the way the industry has changed, and about even oils, the GL6 oil. That's a whole new. And next hour, I'll share with you some little tidbits about the knowledge that I have of the new 6. What does that mean? How about 016? Not 020, not 520, not 1030, 016, and soon 08 engine oil. Think about how thin that viscosity is. It literally flows like water. And the problem is, will it lubricate? And therein lies where you say, well, why do the manufacturers and why do the oil companies come out with such a thin viscosity oil if there are some challenges lubricating with that oil? Well, here's why. The tolerances inside today's engines are so tight and so close. I mean, let's face it, all you need is room enough for oil to flow between the bearing surfaces and in between the piston rings and the cylinder walls and the wrist pins and rod bearings and main bearings and cam journals. All you need is enough room for the oil to flow through. So if you tighten up the tolerances, that engine that would have worn out at 100,000 miles can go 600, 500, 1,000, 1,000,000 miles and still not be worn out. If the tolerances allows oil to flow through and lubricate, clean, and cool all the metal parts. That's what oil does. It does more than just lubricate. And as a result, that's why the tighter engines that we're seeing today for emission controls to keep the air and the fuel above the top of the piston so it doesn't get in the engine in the bottom and spoil the oil and pollute the air. That's just part of the situation, and I don't have time to go into all of it, and it's probably too much information. But just to tell you that the newer engines require specific oil, and when you have your oil change, you make sure whoever's changing your filter and your oil puts the right viscosity year round. Hey, another great hour coming up. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes in a repair shop beyond diagnosing cars. Sometimes technicians get caught up in a repair that just keeps needing more. Recently, an 05 Saturn came in the shop. A 15-year-old car, 150,000 miles. Our young customer was dealing with a coolant leak, a slow, steady drip on the engine area on the driver's side. After a cooling system pressure test, we determined the lower radiator hose was leaking. We replaced the lower hose, topped off the system, and parked the vehicle. All good. Upon prepping for pickup the next day, you can imagine our disappointment to see coolant leaking from the right side of the radiator. A $500 repair. Our solution? A bottle of K-Seal, which can cost under $20. K-Seal features ceramic technology and is designed to repair leaks without clogging. One bottle completely solved the problem, sealed the leak within 10 minutes. K-Seal is available at fine retailers everywhere, like Napa Auto Parts. So when you have a cooling system that has a leak, don't just seal it, K-Seal it. For more information, go to kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the cultivated section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the cultivated section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemurs. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Sit back right along with me this hour, and we're going to talk cars. I'll answer your car questions. Jonathan will take your call at 888-227-2546. That's 888 Car Clinic. Put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. So I got this email. It said, Bobby, I bought a new 2018 Toyota Corolla and took it back to the dealer for regular maintenance, and they say I never need to change the transmission fluid. It sounds strange. I'm ignorant about this and don't want to argue with the head of maintenance. Is he correct? If not, when should it be changed, and should I have them do so? It's called, well, I won't mention the name of the company, except it's a Toyota dealer, and they seem to have a very good reputation. They live in Binghamton, New York. Thank you for your show, Jerry Smith. So when I come back from the break, I will share with you my answer to Jerry Smith about when or if you should change transmission fluid in any vehicle, much less any Toyota. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by the Car Care Council. April That's this month is National Car Care Month, and it's never been more important to keep your vehicle safe and dependable than it is today, as you all know. Visit carcare.org for a number of fantastic tools, including tips and videos and service schedules and the maintenance guide you put in your glove box, which is free. Go to carcare.org. Now, gear up. Let's go. 888-227-2546 when I come back. Entertainment systems, backup camera, start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's cars. AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries, are up to the challenge. Precision engineered for the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. One advantage, how acid is handled. Where it's free-flowing in a traditional flooded battery, acid's completely absorbed in the glass mat separators of an AGM battery. So in the event of a crash, AGM batteries won't leak. For more AGM advantages from Clarius, go to autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com.
O'Reilly.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard me talk about Motorrad's leading the way with automotive thermostats, fuel, oil, and coolant caps. Now, Motorrad's using their expertise and Tier 1 OEM facilities to deliver advanced engine management solutions. Products like camshaft and crankshaft sensors, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, even variable valve timing solenoids. And Motorrad's aftermarket products are designed and manufactured to meet or exceed original equipment specifications. Learn more about Motorrad products and industry-leading application coverage at Motorrad.com.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I invite you to participate. If you have a car question, I'll do my best to give you, maybe not fix your car over the air, but at least I can share with you a way that you can communicate with your local service provider, which is what you're going to have to do in your own hometown in order to get that car fixed properly. And sometimes you can do things yourself, and I'll help you know the difference, which is really important. Now, the phones are starting to jam up. Before I go to the phones, in fact, please get in early so we don't get so rushed toward the end of the program. Here's the number, 888-227-2546. So I opened the program, and I read to you an email that was sent to me the 30th of, March, actually. And then I repeated or replied to this email. And for those of you who have just tuned in, a gentleman bought a 2018 Toyota Corolla and took it back to the dealer to have it serviced, and they said you don't have to service the transmission. And so he lives in Binghamton, New York, and he was concerned that, should he service the transmission or not? So I'm going to read for you word by word my person to person. This is off the air at my own pace at my own desk that I sent Jerry this information. I said, Jerry, car makers focus on extended or no maintenance for their vehicles to attract buyers. Car owners in general are not qualified to determine the services their vehicle needs over the long haul, so they must rely on their franchise dealer service shop for the best advice. The challenge there is dealership personnel are legally bound to follow the guidelines set forth by the OEM. That's the car maker. OEMs may say no change is needed, but their warranty doesn't follow that rule. And folks, understand, this is not a slam against dealerships or OEMs. It's just the facts of life. You own the car, and this is what I told Jerry. You own the car. You pay the repair bills when or if it breaks down. So it is my opinion and experience that you make the best decisions as to whether or not the fluids should be replaced. My advice is to change transmission fluid every 35 to 50,000 miles using an automotive fluid exchange machine and fluid that meets and or exceeds OEM specs. Given the OEM's warranty usually ends somewhere around 48 months or 48,000 miles, or I think with Toyota it's 60,000 miles, OEMs have no worries that the transmission will fail. But if the owner plans to keep his car for a long time, he should replace the fluid, all fluids, not just transmission fluid, to ensure the additive packages within the fluid stay healthy. And I went on to close out with saying the question to ask your dealer service consultant, and this is for you folks, the question to ask your dealer service consultant might be, quote, have you ever known of a vehicle that broke down due to too much maintenance, end quote. That was my words to Jerry. And then I said, by the way, I close with this, CVT transmissions are prone to fail. These transmissions must be serviced every 30,000 miles using fluid formulated specifically for the CVT transmission. Hope this helps. Thanks for tuning in from Binghamton, New York, and that was to Jerry Smith. So there you go. How cool is that? Now I get a bunch of letters from dealers saying, well, yada, yada, yada. But hey, it's your money, your car. If you drive the new off your car, you have to replace some of the new. Let's go to Sandy. Speaking of New York, Sandy, well, that's just cool. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby, and thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I called you last month about my 07 Hyundai that had a recall on the ABS brakes.
Yes.
And you asked me to call you back when I got it repaired, so that's what I'm doing.
Well, just
Are
now,
you there?
let's set the stage. Yes, I am, but I want to make sure that those folks who didn't hear your call, so you have a 2007 Hyundai, and there was a recall on the brake system. This was about the ABS module, correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And so fill us in. Thanks for your call, by the way.
Okay. Well, I had gotten a printout when I had taken my car to get it to my local repair shop that I go to, and they had printed it out for me, so that's how I knew that I had a recall on it, even though I hadn't gotten the one from the Hyundai. I finally got the original, alert from Hyundai Corporation, probably a week and a half later after I had gotten mine from my mechanic.
I see.
So I immediately called up our local Hyundai dealership to make an appointment. I couldn't even get in for over 2 weeks because they had so many recalls to take care of. So anyway, I took it in, and what they did was they installed a relay in the vehicle's main junction box, and because it was moisture that was going to get into the ABS brakes, even though it didn't affect the brakes per se, it could have started a fire in the engine from a short.
Wow.
Because the power was never turned off when the engine was off. It was still on, even when the vehicle was off. So it could increase the engine compartment fire even when the car was turned off. So that was why I got it in there and got it fixed, and I feel so much better about it now.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm impressed with, and folks, this lady had her car serviced at an independent service shop there in New York.
Can I give her their name?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I think they're listening today because I talked to them already last week. And it's Northside Auto in Johnson City, New York. And the ace mechanics there are Gordy, Luke, and Chris. They're all certified, and they're excellent mechanics. And I thank heavens for their alerts for my car.
I agree, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me feel, because the ASE certification is it's not just a reward, but it's a test that a technician. There are 8 different categories, so a master ASE certified technician has already succeeded in passing all 8 tests, which covers the car from bumper to bumper. But moving aside from that, the very fact that Northside checked for recalls during a standard typical service on your automobile sets them way apart from a standard independent automotive service operation. How long does it take to check for a TSB? Well, I can tell you, it takes less than 60 seconds, because their system already has, when they write the repair order for your car, already has the VIN number. So all you have to do is do a search, and I say all you have to do, making it sound like, well, that's all you have to do, but someone has to set down the policies and the procedures in that company, and the employees have to follow those policies and procedures, and that's not always easy. So from someone who's been in the service business for 48 years, I can tell you, hats off to Northside and to all of the team there for advising Sandy of what you found that could cause her issues. And so if all of the service shops that are tuned in right now, technicians, service managers, even new car dealerships, every time a vehicle comes in for service, even if it's just an inspection with an oil change, and you know how I feel about oil changes. Oil changes are only part of an inspection. It's the inspection that's the reason you take your car in. And by the way, change your oil and filter while you're doing the inspection. That's what this company has done for you and did for you. And the very fact that the dealer, and I think that it's admirable, although 2 weeks is a long time, they still had their bays filled with recalls, but it's great that you got on, now you're on the other side of what could have been a situation that didn't turn out so great. So hats off to Northside and Sandy. I really appreciate you sharing this with our Bobby Likis Car Clinic audience globally. And by the way, for everyone who's tuned in, 10 till noon Eastern Time every Saturday on your local AM and or FM stations, or watch BobbyLive.com. Then after the phone conversation, I'll give you some independent downloadable sites that you can catch the radio program, iHeartRadio and those things. But Sandy, hats off to you for, think of the people that are now aware of what this service should be and can be, and the great outcome. So I want to thank you. You're the one that really should be, you get the attaboy for this one. So I thank you very much. Congratulations, and I appreciate you calling me back as I requested.
Thank you so much. I listen to you every Saturday, and I really love your program.
Thank you a bunch, Sandy. So bye. So it doesn't get much better than that, folks, and really it's important. I don't have all the answers, but what I can do is I can give you those buzzwords so that when you go to a local shop, and I love to do this for you ladies out there, I give you a buzzword like fuel trim. You know, if your car's, the check engine light and the car doesn't run correctly, or maybe the check engine light's not on, you go in and say, would you check my car out? And while you're scanning it, check the fuel trim and watch the look on the face of the service desk. Where did you hear that? Well, I'll tell you, Bobby Likis. When I come back, there's more coming up. Spring has sprung, and with COVID-19 center stage, it's never been more important to be car care aware. The Car Care Council reminds you that April is National Car Care Month. Here are a few things you should consider as you prepare for the months ahead. April showers can bring hazardous driving conditions with slick, wet roads. It's a great time to make sure your brakes, tires, and windshield wipers are ready for the rain. Talking specifically about your brakes, How can you tell something's wrong? There are a number of signs. If your brakes are spongy or squealing, or if you can't stop without pumping, or other indicators include your car pulling to one side when stopping, your brake pedal sitting lower than normal, and your brakes requiring excessive pressure or grabbing with the least amount of pressure. Any of these symptoms mean you likely need your brakes inspected. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org. Today's Repair Spotlight is for gasoline-powered engines with 60,000 plus miles. At this age and high mileage, vehicles can develop irritating small oil leaks that can make a mess and ultimately cause serious damage to engine and chassis components. The solution? Berryman's B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator. It's simple to use and safe for engine components like catalytic converters and oxygen sensors. Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator cleans and protects the crankcase and engine oil system on all gas-powered vehicles, and conditions and revitalizes seals and gaskets to help stop oil leaks. Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator contains zinc-based ZDDP and molybdenum moly to help fight friction, heat, and wear. It helps prevent sludge formation to maximize engine performance and life. Don't put up with those pesky oil leaks. Add some Berryman B60 to your motor oil and add another level of protection for your engine. Learn more about Berryman B60 and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis. Thanks for tuning in. Just remember, every Saturday from 10 till noon, 2 hours, 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you live through your local AM and or FM radio stations. Also, watch Bobby Live, which we are currently as a video cast, so you can feel free to tune in. And if you want to download our podcast, our broadcast, video cast, you can go to Car Clinic Network. That's the Car Clinic Network, carclinicnetwork.com. And on the lower right-hand side, you click on Car Clinic Library /podcast. And let me give you a few other formats that this program is distributed by: iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Castbox, Deezer. I'm going to find out what Deezer is one of these days. Jonathan, you got to help me with there. Podcast Addict and Podchaser. Those are all formats that allow you to download this program so you can listen to it at your convenience. And maybe you didn't hear the rest of the story and you wanted to hear it again so that you'd be really understand my answer. And that's one of the issues that I have with radio. So many people tune in radio and they only hear half of the last half of an explanation, and you get it in your mind that, well, gosh, this is Bobby's answer to a question or a challenge. And so you want to make sure that you understand my answer is a generic answer, and my answer is not specific to the question asked by the owner, because I'm not there hands-on. So you would give, a doctor would give general information, generic I call it, but when you're looking for specific information, make no doubt about it, you have to go to a local service shop, and they have to have hands-on your vehicle. So what my job is, what I really love to do, is to give you those buzzwords, so that when you go in You can say, oh, while you're inspecting my car, and it's not quite running right, and you said the oxygen sensors needs to be replaced. Did you do a fuel trim? Just think of a haircut trim, a fuel trim, and you look at a service desk, and they'll say, where did you hear that? Never mind, just did you do it? Because a fuel trim is a report on the air-fuel ratio adjustments that's made on all vehicles today. Even though the check engine light's not on, it's still adjusting the fuel trim. Gas prices. National gas prices are down this week over same time last week. Gas prices down this week over same time last year. National average $1.81. And on the West Coast, the highest price is $2.50. Yeah, that is really, really way cool. Let's go to New Mexico. Take a call from Tim. Tim, welcome from New Mexico to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you. Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, how you doing, Bobby? I've called the last month or so every Saturday telling you about price in Alamogordo, New Mexico. Today our price is $1.41.
Well, I got to share this with you. I'm looking at the East Coast, New England, and every region of the 9 regions, and the lowest price that I see is in the Midwest, $1.51 per gallon, and that's amazing. That's down $1.21 from same time last year. Wow, think about that. That's like a 50% reduction in gas prices. So Tim, I just what I learned, and it took me years to find the information. 70%. What affects gas mileage? I mean gas prices. 70% of the price of gas is determined by the cost of crude. So we all know what happened, this week with the cost of crude. It went negative.
Oh, crazy!
Crazy, yeah. It went, I don't know. I won't make any personal comments about that because I don't wish any I don't wish any industry ill. But I will tell you, oil companies have made a lot of money for a lot of years, over 100 years, and they've not done. And I say this because I'm aware they've not done their share to clean up their act, because gasoline is still poisonous. And there are a lot of
very much so.
Very much so. We all know that. So anyway, what do you drive, by the way?
Right now I've got a 2017 VW Jetta.
Well, gosh, I've got it. That's strange that you should mention that. I was going to, or not, today mention this, but a friend of mine that is retired from Kimberly-Clark, and Kimberly-Clark were partners for 7 years, sent me this, and you might be interested, Tim, and folks. And by the way, let me invite others to call at 888-227-2546. Jonathan will take your call, put you in the queue. But Tim, let me share this with you and for all the other folks, and I'd like for your comment. Volkswagen is partnering with Chinese e-commerce giant JD.com on technology that will allow drivers to control home appliances from their vehicles. Plans also include an auto maintenance platform that would enable customers to better manage the upkeep of their vehicles. Now, here's what it says. Volkswagen's Passat cars and other models produced this year will come with JD.com's smart home services built in, the companies said in a statement. So JD.com and VW partnered. And here's the key word: when linked to users' home appliances. The system will allow them to control their home appliances while inside the cars through voice commands or their vehicle touch screens. Here's the caveat. Since this link is via your home Wi-Fi, there's no possible way that a Chinese hacker could gain access to everything in your system, right? Well, there's the question mark. So
yes.
So you think about that. I have a Honeywell application on my iPhone, and I can dial into my home using that Honeywell application on my iPhone with a password, and it's already linked when I open the application, and I can monitor, control my HVAC system at home, just like I can my alarm system, and I can see the history and those sorts of things. But if I shared that with my car that has its own Wi-Fi and its own touch screen, then my car then would have the access. And to that end, there's something here that just reminded me. I don't know if you knew this or not, Tim. When you buy a new car, the act of buying the new car, when you sign the papers and pay the check or finance it, whatever, you agree for the manufacturer to share the information that's collected by the data black boxes and recorders in your car. Did you know that?
I've heard that. I don't have a smartphone. I like high tech, but I personally do not own a smartphone because I don't want the insurance knowing where I am 24/7.
Well, about 6 or 7 years ago, I received an invitation from my insurance provider to put a bug in my car, and I did, and I did. But I did it for the technology I wanted to learn, and I also had one for my wife's car. She immediately took it out and threw it in the trash. She said, I don't want an insurance company monitoring how I drive my car. So that was okay. But I did because I wanted to see how that technology worked. Well, lo and behold, and it was a valid reason. So 6 months went by, and I got a report on the app on my phone, Safe Drive it's called, and in that Safe Drive it showed me my grades for acceleration, braking, left turn, right turn, and speed. And I was graded a C in speed. I was graded like an A minus in braking because I use my paddle shifters and my trans to slow the car down. It did show up that I was an aggressive driver, but all the other parameters I really scored well. So I proceeded to see that I was going to get a $76 discount on my next, coming up renewal.
Wow.
I did not get it.
Oh.
So I looked another 6 months. Same thing. You're trending, so on and so forth. I did not get the discount. I called my agent after 18 months because I wanted to make sure that I was giving ample time for my discounts to hit, right? So 2 years later, my insurance, where I had been paying $650, as memory serves me, every 6 months, went up to $712. And when I called and asked the reason why, the answer was given, well, the cost of repair is more these days. Now, understand, my car is getting older, so the car is less value than a new car, right? So, anyway, here we are, fast forward another 2 years, because it's been 6 years now, but another 2 years, and I saw a $3.40 reduction in my premium. And so I challenged my agent, who also is a longtime friend of mine, and she told me that she quit offering that service because she got so many complaints.
Wow.
And that's a fact. And then I watch on TV where now all the insurance companies are saying, hey, put this, let us monitor your car and we'll save you money, we'll discount and what have you. So they talk about Big Brother watching. I mean, that's the fact. And all the companies will do that. But I do like my smartphone. I use it, but
understand.
So anyway, I appreciate your call. And what was that gas price again? $1.40.
141.
141. Well, I think that's really interesting, and I just wish that we all were driving more. And I understand that.
Yes.
In Kearney, Nebraska, some of the guys in the car clubs are driving more, and I think we're going to see more of that. And I think that we're going to see an opening up And I think it's time that we start opening up our country again. And I don't know, I'd like for folks, there's plenty of time left. And Tim, thank you so much for your call, as always, from New Mexico.
Yes, I was just going to say, the story about Captain Jim was very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm watching you live on YouTube, and he wrote that there's a story on YouTube I need to look up.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Captain Jim. And folks, thank you. Don't go away. I'll be back. 888 Car Clinic. Let's go.
Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease. And she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you by Motorrad. Folks, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps and engine management products should be Motorrad. Motorrad will help make sure that your car is road ready during these uncertain times. You can learn more at motorrad.com, and especially now, electronic sensors, variable valve timing solenoids, and other engine management sensors and devices are now available through Motorrad. But I want to share this with you in addition to the fact that they're our sponsor partners. They literally make parts for manufacturers. So they're not just making aftermarket parts for your car, they make them for the manufacturers as well. They're an OEM supplier. That means a lot because the OEMs have the power, because they buy a lot of parts, to dictate how that part's to be designed to meet their specifications, and Motorrad meets the specifications. For more information, go to motorrad.com. Let's see what else I have for you. Let's go to Washington. Take a call from Victor. Victor, good morning. Welcome back from Washington State.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bobby. Yeah, these self-driving cars. Now, I think you said you rode in one there, and now if something happens on the computerized steering or braking or something, a wire breaks or something, is there some backup for safety, or does it go out of control, or what happens?
Well, for years, that's the easy question. That's the least of the worries. For years, cars, when there's an issue, have fail-safes that put them in limp home modes. And I'll give you an example of just yesterday. I was talking with Rusty, who is a service manager, and let's see what happened on this vehicle. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. It was, I believe it was a Toyota Tundra, and I'm not sure, but it was a vehicle, a late model car. It doesn't matter because they're all pretty near the same now with regard to their electronics. The vehicle had a component that was defective. That component had to do with safety aspect of that vehicle. And it put that vehicle into a safe mode, a limp home mode, where the driver could only go X speed. The driver could still control the vehicle. The driver could still go along with traffic, but at a snail's pace to force that driver in for service. And so, as it is with existing vehicles, and has been for years, 10, 15, 20 years, a self-driving car, you can multiply the complexity and also the technology 100 times and it probably still wouldn't. And one little note that I want to share, and this is just a quickie here. An F-22 fighter jet has a computer on board that uses 2 million lines of code to control that plane. A 747 jumbo jet that we've all perhaps been on, that computer has 14 million lines of code that control that jet. Not the self-driving car, a standard luxury car today will have 100 million lines of code. And a self-driving car may well have 250 million lines of code. And so when you think about, and again, I want to make sure that the folks that know what code is, it's not all code is not the same. I understand that. But for demonstrative purposes, I just want to share with you folks and with you, Victor, there's a lot of electronics that go on there, but there are also fail-safe methods and modules that take over when things don't work right. Any questions?
Yeah, if you're sitting there and you're going to get kind of drowsy or you're going to do something else, so you're not really paying real close attention to the self-driving car after a few hours or a few days of trusting it, then if something happens and the fail-safe, see now when they're up in the airplane, they have a little more time to the pilots to take control, but when you're driving, you have split-second happenings right in front of you all the time. So I guess now when it happens and you're supposed to take over, and say you're kind of drowsy, halfway asleep or something, is there a period of time, or is it instantaneously safe, even though it has something that goes wrong?
The human mind cannot begin to feel, see, or sense the goings on that are around his or her car, because as compared to a self-driving car, because the self-driving car uses lasers and mapping that are 360 degree and in real time, and so that we don't have eyes in the back of our head, the side of our head, or whatever, and self-driving cars do. So a self-driving car, there's no doubt about this, it's safer than humans driving a car. Make no mistake about that. And so will there be some catastrophes? As it is, yeah, there are planes that crash. Most of the time they're human, So we're not there yet, and it may be a while before we get there, because there's this question about who's responsible. If the car, self-driving car is one thing. we need self-driving cars to give seniors freedom to go and drive when they can no longer see and drive. So I'm all for self-driving cars. I'm not for autonomous cars, because a car that's autonomous will choose whether or not it's better to kill the people in the car if there are two people versus running over a group of people. That would be autonomy, where the computer in the car can say, well, if we crash into this embankment, we're going to kill, I see 12 people there, 12 living things, moving things, versus taking another direction. And so that was an explanation that a dear friend of mine, who was the smartest guy I know, Ken Ford, Dr. Ken Ford. And folks, you should just Google IHMC, Institute for Human and Machine Cognition, IHMC, and Ken Ford founded that organization. And they make robots and what have you. I won't go there, but just to tell you, he is the one that says, Bobby, I'm not for autonomous cars because of that reason, but self-driving, yes. So we got to move on, Victor. But as always, you spark a lot of interest in not only in old technology but in new technology, and that really is of interest to me. I thank you for your continued input and participation in Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go from Washington State to New York. Dave, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, good morning, Bobby.
Good morning, sir.
Thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure.
Briefly before I ask a question about bringing my car out for the summer, the gas prices is kind of an interesting thing, and one of my focuses, because I'm looking at California prices in LA all the way down to 221, down 230s, and upstate New York is normally lower than New York City or LA.
Right.
But right now, where I live, the prices are the same as LA and more than Manhattan. Manhattan's under $1 or under $2. And it's because it shows how competition in gas stations is very needed. We have one company that has about 70% of the market, and definitely is making the gas prices way too much, especially when Western New York, where in some of the Native American reservations have gas under $1 at 79 cents, 89 cents. So it's kind of an interesting thing. But what I was calling about mainly was I'm bringing my 2007 Sky out for the summer and was looking for advice of what I really need to do. I did leave a full tank of gas in there, and I had it on a battery tender over the winter, but looking at things I should do.
Yes, number one, tire pressure. Number two, the brakes, in the meantime, depends on whether or not you put it to bed wet. And what I mean by that is every time I clean my car, which was yesterday, I detailed both mine and my wife's car. And when I finish detailing, the last thing that I do is I drive it up down the cul-de-sac and back with my foot on the gas and the brake so that I can erase the rust that oxidizes on the rotors. And I didn't do that at one time, and actually had on a Viper, I would detail it and then pull it in the garage. And I didn't drive it every day because it's not an everyday driver. And when I put it in reverse and went to back out, the car didn't move, and then I gave it a little more gas and a little more clutch, and it didn't, bam! And it actually ripped the pads, and these are special pads, off of the backing plate on the rear rotors. And that's because they oxidize, because I clean all that, flooding tons of water. So you want to make sure that the front brakes, which you can see, is it four-wheel disc or is it not?
It's four-wheel disc.
Okay. Take a look at the rotors before you drive it, and you'll notice that they've oxidized. So when you go out, you should exercise the brakes, and you should also be aware that over time, the brake fluid will absorb moisture. And I don't know what the relative humidity is average there in New York, but in my neck of the woods, 80% is kind of standard. And my classic Porsche that I restored and put a lot of time, energy, and money, including overhaul and updated. I did this personally, the calipers, in 2004. Now I don't drive that vehicle because I choose not to. But the last 6 months I've been getting it ready to sell, and I had it detailed with a ceramic coat. Well, that's another story, which is fantastic. The front brakes locked up on it, as I was taking it from the detail shop to the shoot, a photo shoot, and I had to stop on the I-10 and let the brakes cool off. And when Johnny took the brakes apart, the pistons had rusted because I serviced them and cleaned them in 2004, but the car hasn't been driven since, and I never flushed the brake fluid. And so brake fluid is hygroscopic, so change the fluid, change all the fluids. Wiper blades, let's see what else deteriorates. Rubbers and door seals, and don't use anything on rubbers or door seals. Just clean and wash the car, and then on the cloth that you use to dry the car, wipe down all the rubber. And if you get you'll know if they're in bad shape because the cloth that you use, my chamois, is tan and colored. And then when I clean the rubbers off the bottom of my door panels, ever how much black gets on my drying towel, I know that's how much black rubber has deteriorated. Those are the kind of things that I do as and then windshield wipers, because they have been resting, and so they'll be curled up and probably ruined unless you elevated the wiper arms when you park the car. Any questions?
Gotcha. No, that's some great help. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate your call. Thank you for calling. Take care. In fact, let's go now to Dan in New York with a 79 Corvette pre-purchase. Dan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. What can I do for you?
Thank you, Bobby. I'm listening to you on WNBF here in upstate New York.
Well,
love your show.
Thank you very much.
My son is contemplating buying a 79 Corvette. It's an older gentleman that's had the car for 5 years. He does not have maintenance records, and he's put about 300 miles on the car. He says it stops, runs, and drives. He says it runs really good. But what do I want to look for in that car pre-purchase?
That car's going to,
a 41-year-old car.
That car's going to need $5,000 worth of upgrade. And I've never seen the car.
I think so.
I can tell you so. We do that all the time. That car will need, when your son buys that car, has he already bought it?
No, not yet.
Okay. When he buys it, I don't care what anybody tells him. Literally, even if he has a pre-purchase inspection, which for sure he's got to have that done, you know that. But even so, he's going to spend $5,000 to upgrade that car because it's going to need calipers, it's going to need suspension bushings, it's going to need a water pump, it's going to need hoses, it may need a radiator, it's going to need extension housing bushing seals, it's going to need universal joints, it's going to need disc rotors. And that's just a few things, and that's okay. All that's okay, but he just has to know that when he buys this used car, forget that it's a nice-looking 79 Vet. When he buys this used car, it's had a lot of the new, not only that was driven off of it, but it's been sitting a long time, which is the worst thing in the world can do. So as long as he understands that the purchase price, at whatever it is just the beginning. In order to make the car dependable and enjoyable so that when he gets ready to drive it, he can drive it in New York for 100 miles to go see his Tom, Dick, or Harry and make it safely back home. Otherwise, he's going to be on the side of the road. He's going to be sorry he ever bought the car.
Very good. And I just want to tell you that I'm the gentleman that called that won a car when I was 18 years old up here in New York State.
Well,
sat in it for a week.
Well, I could only imagine how that would be. Hey, thank you so much. Great to hear from you, Dan.
You bet, Bobby. Take care.
Take care. Folks, Bobby Likis Car Clinic has been brought to you today in part by K-Seal. I love that product because it makes me look good. You can stop that unexpected cooling system leaks before it stops you. And you can find K-Seal at fine part stores nationwide like AutoZone. You can check the store website for hours and for shipping information. And remember, if you have a cooling system leak, a water pump, a head gasket, don't just seal it, K-Seal it. And for more information, go to kseal.com. Okay. That's all the time that I have. I still have more information, but it appears it's going to take us another week before I get to you with that other information. So remember, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, I come to you with great information and share of that information. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, see you next Saturday, 10 till noon. You'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Insurance 101, courtesy of Grundy Insurance. Uninsured motorist liability and underinsured motorist liability are both important aspects of vehicle insurance, as they can protect you against an at-fault driver who is not insured or doesn't have enough insurance. Important to note, the definition of who's insured refers to people, not vehicles listed on a particular policy. So the uninsured or underinsured limits you select for your policy for your everyday cars will transfer over to you when driving your collector car. Find out more at Grundy.com. That's Grundy.com. You regularly hear testimonials on our program where everyday drivers share their experiences with products featuring HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. As we all work together to get past COVID-19, Berryman remains steadfast in their commitment to keep developing products necessary so everyday people are able to drive dependable vehicles. Products like Berryman B12 Chem Tool, which can help remove carbon buildup on the engine and improve drivability. Learn more about Berryman B12 Chem Tool and other great Berryman products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle loaded or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy